Hey gang, it's Cynthia again. I just wanted to come on and kind of give a depiction of a situation that I went through, because I know in the beginning there was a lot of times when I questioned situations because of basically just who I am. It's like they just didn't fit with who I was for the people that were after me to be after me, the sheer numbers of people that were following me to be following. It just didn't make any sense being who I thought I was, and with the resources that I thought that the people who had to be doing this to me were capable of using. I just didn't see it as possible. But one instance is, like I told you before, somebody actually hired people from another, like Asians, to follow me. And I'm talking about maybe 10 or 12 Asian people of Asian descent, men and women, young men, old men. But I spotted them, right off. There was an Asian man with a cowboy hat on and cowboy boots. Get out of here. In Walmart, please. He looked a fool. And I immediately spotted him. But then, once I kind of made him out, I saw that there were a lot of others, trying to look inconspicuously conspicuous. They looked just out of place. But they followed me and they wanted to intimidate me to where I didn't feel comfortable in the hotel that I was in. And they want you to be afraid, running, feeling like you're constantly on the run, constantly watching your back, and you basically are. But the thing of it was mostly intimidation. Nothing really physical was being done. It's like what they say about ghosts. They say that they don't hurt you, but they make you do things to hurt yourself. The situation that I was in, all of them basically seemed like that. Like they were trying to affect my mindset and trying to make me do things out of fear to harm myself. And you kind of do put yourself in situations, because now that I look back, I was in a hotel, and I know that every hotel that I was in, they had some way of surveilling the room. They were already set up to be able to film me inside the room. And that freaked me out, especially like in the beginning. So it's like when I would see people following me, I'd run. But it's what they want. You already paid for this place, so now you're forfeiting the monies that you spent on these rooms to go and run somewhere else where you're short. So now your options are limited, and this is how I ended up basically sleeping on the streets those first couple of nights, because I'd already paid for rooms that they intimidated me into running from. So the first instance was, like I said, I ran from the first room after I noticed that all these Asian men and women were following us, and I ended up in a neighborhood where I was comfortable, because when I became homeless before, when I had my car, I would sleep in my car at a grocery store in this neighborhood. So I decided that I would go back there, since I knew basically the area. And it's kind of hard being in places where you don't know anything about the neighborhood. So that's where I decided. My daughter and I almost walked from Buena Park to Downey, because even when we got on the buses, these people were on the buses. So I just didn't feel comfortable that they would take us where we needed to go. So we walked until we got to far enough to where the city buses changed. It changed to another city bus. So then we got on the bus and we went from, Buena Park to Downey, and ended up behind the stores. But they were already there. It's like they already knew where we were going. I don't know. I can't explain how they were just finding us. It's almost like they had tracking devices on us. And the car was gone, so I couldn't understand how they were. I still don't know how exactly they were tracking us, unless, like I said, my phone. So I'm assuming that that was it. But when we got there, they were already there. We spent the night behind the grocery store. And, a lot of nice people did come by and give us money to, we were able to eat. And then there were people that tried to give us things that I think were to harm us, like food that was already cooked. I mean, I wasn't gonna, if that wasn't the case, then I apologize, but I wasn't gonna eat it. I didn't trust it. And I would suggest that if somebody gives you something that's open and cooked, no matter what the situation you're in, don't. I would suggest you don't eat it. Because even with bottled waters, we would be walking, like along the freeways, and I've had, there was a woman that stopped with her kids in the car and gave us a bottled water that was, that had a laxative in it, because almost immediately after I drank it, I needed to go to the restroom. And that's another thing they want to humiliate you. So you're somewhere where you can't use the restroom, and when you go to places, people won't let you. So now you're walking on the freeway. You lost all your things, basically homeless, nowhere to use the restroom. So you're soiling your clothes. These things are, like I said, designed to make you feel some type of way, and it does at the time, but I think that's why you have to remain strong in your faith, because it's like once it's over, I just kind of let things roll off. I didn't have time to dwell on the last thing that happened, because it was one thing after another thing after another thing. These people were relentless. They never stopped trying to do things to affect my psyche, or to make us homeless, or to make me feel some type of way. And with me is my daughter. That's what I do for a living. I take care of my daughter that's 36, that's autistic. She was autistic from birth. And I tried to relinquish her, because I saw after like the fourth or fifth time that these people weren't going to stop doing what I thought they were trying to do to just me. So I actually went to a doctor's office that was across the street from the grocery store, and I left my daughter there. And I told the clerk, I actually asked her before if it was okay, because we got to the doctor's office initially because these people were following us, and there were like cars and cars of them following us and saying things. And when they knew we were going in the doctor's office, they went in the doctor's office and sat. And it was to intimidate us, and I was just over it. So it's like, if I have to fight, I can't fight with my child with me. So I went inside the doctor's office, and I told her to call the police. And I slipped her a note and that said, call the police. And she did. And the police came, and I immediately saw from this officer's face that he was not here. He was not there for me. He said some kind of idle chatter, basically, how do you know people are following you, and asking me about my mental. They always go there, and believe me, they're gonna go there. That's the first thing that they ask is, have you ever been treated for a mental? They know that I've been treated, and now I know that I've been treated because they've been drugging me all these years, making me crazy, but making me appear, crazy. But that was their MO. Have you ever been treated? Even if I So if you've been treated for mental health, that means that it's okay for people to follow you, intimidate you, kidnap you, rape you, take your money from your bank accounts, make it so you have no place to live. Is that it's okay if you have a mental health condition for people to do that? That's basically what they were saying to me. The officer basically dismissed everything that I said, and even when I was talking, he never wrote down anything, and every time that I've ever spoken to police about, when they come out about a situation, they have their notepad out to write down what it is you're saying. Otherwise, how do they even know how to reference, what you said happened? And he never wrote down a word. I already knew, like I said, from the way he was looking, the way he was acting, his demeanor, he wasn't there for me. And I don't even think they were real police, honestly. I think that it was some kind of farce that they cooked up to intimidate me further. But at any rate, the police came and they dismissed what I said, and then they left. So I just felt I was overwhelmed. I didn't know what to do. These people are following me. The avenue that I was supposed to take to ensure safety for me and my daughter, they had just basically told me to go to hell. So I felt like my only choice was to at least get her safe. So I asked the clerk if she would, told her that I was just going to leave her there, and asked her to call the police when I left so that they would tell her, I told her that what my daughter's condition was, and told her to call the Department of Social Services and have them come pick her up. That was my reason for doing that, because we were both unsafe, and it didn't make any sense to me for her to have to go through this situation because somebody was after me. So she agreed, and I hugged my daughter. I told her I loved her, and I left her there. It was hard, but it was necessary, and I knew it was necessary. So I left her there, and I caught a bus to a hotel down the street. I was going to use the monies that I had on my card to spend the night at the Motel 6 and hopefully just try to regroup and figure out what I was going to do. But I just cried. I cried because I didn't understand why was this happening? Why would you do this to a child? And it wasn't like the first night we had spent on the street. It was, they wanted me to be on the streets with my daughter. And I went to the hotel though, and something was wrong with the card. And I just felt like I wanted to see, to go back and to make sure that everything went okay. I was going to go back and ask the clerk there, did she cry? Was she okay? So I did. I went back to the doctor's office. Sorry. I went back. Oh, God. That's why I'm wearing the glasses. I don't want to cry. I went back, and when I got there, there were like 5 cars of police. They were just everywhere. And at first, I didn't think that it was about that, because it didn't even dawn on me that it was for that. So I went ahead to the Walmart, and I got what I was going to buy from the store, and I came back. And somebody said, there she is. And the cop called me over, and they tried to arrest me. They threatened to arrest me for child endangerment, for trying to intimidate me, telling me that, you can't leave your child with this woman. We could take you to jail. We should take you to jail. And then one guy was trying to poke at me, asked me, did I steal the stuff that was in the Walmart bag? Did you buy that stuff? Really? They were trying to set me off, trying to make me say something or do something so that they could, I don't even want to say arrest me, because I figured if that was what you were there for, then that's what they would have done. But I don't know. But to me, it was a scare tactic to try and make me do something or say something. And I refused to bite with that. But yeah, when I told them that all these people were after me and my daughter, it was dismissed completely. Nothing written down. But the same police officer came to arrest me for trying to keep my daughter safe. The very same one. With an attitude. He had an attitude when he had to come back to help my daughter. But the thing was, it was already, that was the whole, it was set up, I think, to do just that. Just for them to do just what they did. It's crazy. It's just one of the situations that we dealt with. And we were there, and they were acting like they were going to do this and that and trying to intimidate us. And then a social worker came, and she asked me if she helped us find a place, would I be willing to go to that place? And of course, I just wanted somewhere safe for me and my daughter to go. And I didn't want to feel intimidated. I told them what the situation was. Nobody was listening. So I did what I felt like I had to do. But she took us to some place that dealt with mental health patients. And I tried not to, I tell myself, don't think anything of it. They gave us a room. They made sure we had a room for the night. Long Beach, I think it was Long Beach Department of Social Services. So yeah, they did call a place in Long Beach, and they set us up with a hotel room for the night. And the next day, the requirement was that we go back to the original place that we had stopped at before we got to the hotel, and do paperwork so that they could set it up, getting us an apartment and placing us. Which, like I said, was fine. But when I looked again at the paperwork, it was like a mental health, survey. Basically, it was me saying, okay, I'm mentally ill, I need help, mental help. I need somebody to give me counseling for mental health. And that's not what was happening. So the whole thing was to make it seem like I was mentally ill, and to me, to accept help from these people was admitting that same thing. So I left. I wasn't mentally ill. People were following me, and I wasn't about to sit there and let these people make me seem crazy for what I already knew. For at this point, I knew was happening. So I left. And that was where the story came in for me being on the bus stop, because I was going to just flee. I felt like I wasn't safe in California. I was going to just go to somewhere. I was going to try like Alabama. It didn't really matter to me at that point. I just felt like I needed to get out of California. It felt like it was limited to the state I was in. I felt like, if I left the state, maybe I could just, change jobs, start over. I found out later that that wasn't the case. Changing the state didn't help, because it stretched to wherever I went. And I still am yet to figure out who or what is after me to where they have that kind of reach. But that's it. That's what it is. But that day I didn't know. I went to the train station, bought a train ticket to go to. I bought tickets to go to Alabama, and then when I thought about it, it's like, why are you running? Why do you? What are you running for? You haven't done anything wrong. This was the logic I was telling myself at the time. So a couple hours in, I changed my mind about the ticket, about going, and just decided that I would, get a room, and me and my daughter just try to figure something else out. But I couldn't get the money back. So that's how we ended up staying on the streets those next 2 days, because the money was tied up in those tickets. And she told me it would be back on my card the next day, but it actually took 3 days to get those funds back. And so I ended up going, like I said, we spent the night on a bus stop on Alondra. It was freezing. It was awful. But I had the choice between spending the night on the bus stop downtown LA in front of the Union Station, which they will not let you stay even in front of the Union Station if you don't have a ticket. And that's something that I really think that needs to be addressed too, because you come to let's just say you bought a ticket from somewhere and ended up Union Station. And the reason why, we were out there was because there wasn't enough, I didn't have enough money for a room, an expensive room, and none of the cheaper rooms, they were all full. They didn't have any rooms. So you're in a strange state, you can't find a room, and you can't even stay safely in front. That's all I was asking, in front of the Union Station. No, they wanted, you have to go to the bus stop, to the street. And at night, if you go there to the Union Station at night, all the transients come out and they're on the bus stop, and there are people that probably have already claimed those stops. But I feel like a lot of the people that were there that night were there specifically to intimidate me and my daughter, to give me another night of hell. So I took what I did have and had the taxi driver take us to at least a place where I felt like we would be cold, but we'd be safe. So that's what I did, and we were cold, but it felt like a safe place to be. And we stayed there all night until the next morning, and then I took a bus to what I thought was a friend's house, and the friend told me to get the hell out of her yard. I know why now, but I won't go into that. And then I called another friend who helped us, and told us, he helped us by letting us spend the night in a car that he had parked outside of his family member's house. He took us to the family member's house. We slept in the car. We were safe. We were warm. He gave us covers. And the next day, I got paid again, and I got us a hotel room. I had actually spoken to him about a friend of his. He said that had that rented rooms, and he said that he would speak to that friend about trying to get me a room, and that just sounded great. It was just music to my ears. So I did get a room. My daughter and I went and got a couple things that we needed, got a room. And that night I called him. I said, your friend hasn't called me yet. And he immediately called that person. And right after I hung up from him, the friend called. And he said that he did have a room that we could rent. It was small, but it was a house that I would share with his sister. and there were other houses in the back, but that we'd be safe. He was charging us $700 a month for the room, and it would give me a chance to regroup, like I said, to get back on my feet, to try and figure some things out. It was exactly what I needed. So he came to the hotel that I was staying in that night. He picked us up. He took us to look at the room. It was fine. The house was clean. I didn't meet the sister, but that didn't matter. He was saying that she was fine. The person that recommended him to me was a stand-up person, I thought. So I wasn't really worried. To me, it was better than sleeping on the bus stop. And I wasn't going to question somebody that was trying to help. So the next day, he told us that we could move into the room. And the next day, he came and picked us up, and we did. And for about a week or so, it was fine. I met his sister, I think, the next day. She came in with a friend and introduced herself, and it seemed okay. There was another garage apartment behind this house that we were staying in, but it had its own exit and entrance, and that person was usually supposed to only come inside the house to make his food, warm his food, put food in the refrigerator, things like that. But he started to make a big deal about the fact that I would lock the door. And he said he had a key to the top lock, but he didn't have a key to... And I didn't see what the big deal was. It's like, I would lock the door at 1 and 2 in the morning. And we're two women in a house. I mean, the sister supposedly stayed there, but she was never there. So 2 women in a house with a strange man in the back coming in with the key at all hours of the night and morning, I was not comfortable with that. So regardless to how upset he got, I was locking the bar door at night. And it was just something weird about this man. He had these thick dreads. It was something about him. I couldn't put my finger on it, but it was just like day after day, this person just irked me. And after about 2 weeks, I want to say maybe 10 days, it dawned on me what it was about this man. This man was a man that had been trolling me on Instagram and Facebook. He was stalking me on Facebook and Instagram, and now he was in disguise living in this apartment behind this house with keys to the part that I lived in. I was living. We left. I got my as much of my stuff together as I can get, and I left. And I had to think about, what am I going to do? Should I call him and ask him for my money back? Should I even worry about it? Should I just go? Because I signed paperwork that said that about the apartment. So he gave me it was like a typed up thing that said that I was supposed to pay $700 a month. But on the lease that he wrote, he said month to month, paying month to month, that he gave me 5 months to be there. But the lease didn't stipulate that I had to stay there 5 months. It said I was renting a room month to month for $700 a month. I had already paid my first $700. That's why when they came into the hotel room, they stole that lease. They stole that paperwork. They stole the paperwork. They stole my Social Security cards, my birth certificates, anything that I had, the paperwork for the car that proves that I bought the car and that car sale was voided. They stole that. They stole all my crystals. Like I said, anything that would prove any of the things that any of the cruel things that they had done to me had happened. They one at a time took them. And I wasn't paying attention to my paperwork because they were locked inside my room. This is when I realized that the room wasn't even safe. So after that, I started to just take everything that was really important, that was necessary to prove my point at the end. I took it with me. I never left without it. But before that, I was leaving them inside my room. I would go to do the laundry, and my daughter would be like in the room asleep. And they were coming in, and this is how I know there were people that I know that they were talking to my daughter. This is why they wanted to keep my daughter with me. They were trying to convince her to hurt me, to like catch me sleep and do things to me, giving her things to put in my water, like little packets of sugar that must have had something else in them. And I didn't find that out until we started having to like throw things away, like make the backpacks lighter. So I had to, my daughter's autistic, so she's a pack rat, and I never go through her things. It's just like not something you do to an autistic child, but we had to lighten our load. So I had to go through her purse and her bag and take out the things that we didn't need. And when I went through there, I noticed that she had just been writing things down that didn't make sense. Like, I can't stay with mommy anymore. Cynthia's gonna be in the casket. We can't see mommy. I won't see mommy anymore. Go stay with Brittany. And it was, the dates were changing. At first it would say February, then she would say March, May. So somebody was basically finding ways to talk to her and telling her that that I was going to be gone and she was going to be going back to stay with my daughter. And I know that because she was writing these things down and changing the dates on it. My daughter writes, but her writing would only extend to Wheel of Fortune drawings and things about stuff she had dealt with, things that she had done, the nail shop. They were never murder manifestos. But this is what they were turning into. It was to the point where she was basically talking about how she was going to do it and how she had to shower afterwards and change her clothes. It was nuts. I still have those writings. I've taken photos of them and hidden the cameras. But it was at that point that I kind of knew what I was dealing with. And as the months have gone on, I've seen how this thing is so much bigger than what I thought it was. I know that they're hiding my true identity from me. They told me that specific people were my parents, and now I'm realizing that that may not have been true, and somebody doesn't want me to find out, if that isn't true, who my real parents are. There are some crazy situations that I've been through, and one by one I'll get them out for you guys, because it's a lot to just try and go over the whole story. And you see I get kind of tripped up because it still does make me really nervous to even realize that I've been going through this nightmare for months and months on end. They've been relentless. The most that I've known that I'm safe in a room is for 5 days, but the readings had told me that April would the spell would be broken, that it would end most of what was happening. And since like the end of April, things have been getting better. I've been able to find at least kind of a steady, place to stay, where I can stay more than 5 days at a time and be worried about whether, they're gonna let me renew the room. But I'm just, like I said, I'm saying this, I'm putting this out so that people that are going through this now, like I said, we're on different parts of the same journey, and you may end up going through things where you feel like it doesn't make sense. How are these things being done? They want you to feel like you are crazy, because it's like the people that I know don't have the kind of money, the resources that it would take to do what's being done here. But I think it's less about our individual lives and our individual families than something bigger, some organization bigger that wants to stop the collective from going into union. And they're willing to do whatever it takes to prevent these unions. So don't ask yourself how. If you feel like it's happening and you know you're someone who's headed for a divine union, then protect yourself. Try to. I mean, there was only so much that I could do, but it was because I had to learn as I went, which, like I said, is why I'm doing this. So you don't question the hows and whys. You just realize that what you think is happening, and you try to be proactive to prevent them to stay one step ahead if you can. Keep watching your readings. Keep taking your notes. Try to take as many mental notes as you can, because they actually do steal your notes. They want to know what you know, especially after I got out of a lot of the situations. And I got out of a lot of the situations because of my own intuitive nudges. Take those. Embrace those. You will definitely need those. I wish you love, light, and blessings.